To the chair of the Legislative and Executive Nominations Committee, did the nominee in this case disclose to the committee during the first nomination interviews before the committee, the hearing before the committee, the existence of the Rikers Island investigation? Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Janowski.
Did.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I did not hear the answer.
Yes, she did.
Representative O'Neill.
So at that time, when she was first being heard by the committee, she disclosed that there was an investigation being conducted by the United States Department of Justice of her tenure at Rikers Island. Is that correct? Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Janowski.
She was questioned for over 3 hours by members of the committee at the last public hearing. Yes.
Representative O'Neill.
And that questioning included questioning about the Rikers Island report. Is that correct?
Yes,
Mr.
it
Speaker.
did. It included I'm sorry, through you, Mr. Speaker. It included responses to the U.S. Department of Justice report.
Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, because it was my understanding, what's been conveyed to me is that she did not, in fact, disclose that information to the committee at the time that her hearing was going on. And I appreciate the chair having clarified that for me, because that does alleviate one deep concern that I have had about this nominee, which is that in addition to whatever else happened in other jurisdictions, that what we were, at least I had been led to believe up until this very moment, was that she had not disclosed the Rikers Island report, and that she had not disclosed certainly the content of it, because what I had read was that she was unaware of the content, and that she chose not to disclose the report back at her first nomination hearing. That being said, however, I am still troubled by the history that this nominee has of not coming up with answers, not being forthright, to the extent that a federal judge cited her that way, and to the extent that the United States Department of Justice cited her as being one who obstructed their investigation in one way or another by not disclosing information, or by eliminating information, or by having information, videotapes and such, disappear while they were conducting the investigation or after they had requested information that did not come forward.
I believe it would be accurate to say that Representative O'Neill's statement that it was not disclosed by the applicant for the position when she was being interviewed the first time around for this position. Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Janowski.
Not at the first committee. She was not asked the question.
Okay.
Representative Buck-Taylor.
Through you, Mr. Speaker. For those who don't attend executive nominations, one of the things that it's done when we are finished questioning someone is to ask them whether or not there is anything in their past that would be an embarrassment to them, an embarrassment to the governor, or an embarrassment to the state of Connecticut. And if the nominee did not disclose that, I guess it speaks to two options. One, she decided not to disclose it, or she didn't consider an investigation by the Department of Justice as to incredible cruelty to adolescents and mentally ill inmates at Rikers something that should be disclosed.
The news reports that were offered at the time that this information first became publicly available, shortly after the federal government's investigation report was disclosed, seemed to relate to the notion that she just didn't think the federal investigation was going to, and I think the word was that sticks in my head, was that it was going to be problematic. There were going to be any problems, any questions, any doubts that might be cast upon her handling of the administration of that facility based on the federal investigation, that there was nothing that anyone was going to raise as an issue. Now, that in of itself, not thinking that the federal investigation was going to turn up vast amounts of information of wide-scale systematic abuse of prisoners, of adolescent prisoners, of a culture that encouraged the guards to beat the prisoners for simply talking back. Either she doesn't think beating prisoners, adolescents, is wrong, or she had no idea of what was going on inside of the facility that she was in charge of for 5 years. Either way, no matter what of those two options there are, she does not meet the standards that we should have for someone to hold the office of Commissioner of Public Safety.